Hello and welcome. I have decided to create each separate tutorial for each looping statement. I want to keep it simple. This will be useful as a reference also if you need to refer how a particular loop works. In this tutorial, we will learn about the while loop. A while loop checks for a condition at the start at the loop and executes the code depending on whether this condition is true or not. For example, I'll start my while loop here, and this is my condition, and this is my block. I'll represent my block between curly brackets. My condition is here. Now in the if statement, for example, I use 1 is equal to 1. Now if I say test or loop here, this is loop here and then a break. Now what happens is as long as 1 is equal to 1, it would create a loop. If I do something here, let's try this. It would probably crash your browser because the loop would be repeated as long as 1 is equal to 1 and for infinite number of times. 1 will always equal 1. So since the loop will always be repeated, your browser will crash. Let's say while a variable num is smaller or equal to 10. And under echo, I can say num plus plus. Plus plus is an arithmetical operator. What it basically does is, it increases num by 1. It is the same as writing num is equal to num plus 1. So it takes num and says that it is equal to the value of num plus 1. So this again is an arithmetical operator. What's going to happen is, we are going to say num lesser than or equal to 10. If yes, then echo loop and then say add 1 onto the variable num. But what we should really do is create num is equal to 1 at the moment. So loop once at 1. This will then equal to, then 3, then 4, then all the way up to 10, and then this will stop. After that, the rest of the code below this will continue. So we said this one and see what we will get. Okay, we got loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Now to make it more fun, I'll say loop 1 and I'll concatenate num to the end of that. In fact, let's make it simpler and say num inside. It will make it much easier to read. Okay, I'll loop 1 and add 1, and then I'll say loop 2 and I'll add another, and that's loop 3 and I'll add another up to 10. Let's open this up, refresh it. There you go. You got loop 1, 2, 3 all the way up to 10 as you can see. Let's change this value here to 100. Refresh that. You can see it has gone to 100. The bigger the number, the longer it will take to loop. Let's take 6000. Let's refresh that. It's going to take a while. There you go, up to 6000. So it's very efficient in this way. You can try combining this with an array to create a program that echoes out of the alphabet inside the array. You can use loop to echo out every single value of an array. Just to give it a go, I will probably do this in one of my tutorials, not in the basic section though. However, this is the basic structure. What I also recommend you to do is create a variable here called max and put your maximum value here. This will do exactly the same thing. It's just a lot more easy to read and you can declare all this here, and this would be a reference to it. If you have more than one loop, I prefer it for readability and flexibility for my program. Okay, so that's a while loop. Let me summarize. It checks the condition of the start. If the condition is true, it would execute this block of code, and you can do things like echo alpha. Your variable is been incremented. Make sure that you increment your variable, otherwise it will loop for infinity. Thanks for watching. This is Siddharth for the spoken tutorial project, signing off. Goodbye.